Picture yourself in the heart of ancient Rome, 140 BCE, standing in the bustling forum where the air hums with the chaos of a morning market. Merchants shout over piles of olives and cloth. Cartwheels clatter on cobblestone, and the scent of fresh bread mixes with hoarse sweat. But then a sound cuts through it all, a scream, raw and jagged, the kind that makes your skin crawl. On a stone platform in the center, a young woman kneels, maybe 17, her hands bound tight. Above her, an executioner holds a glowing iron, its tip white-hot, ready to sear 3 letters into her. Forehead, FVG, Fugitiva, runaway. The crowd barely blinks. Some watch with grim curiosity. Others haggle without a glance. Kids perch on their father's shoulders, straining for a better view. While a baker across the square kneads dough, stealing looks between folds. This isn't a rare event. It's just another morning in the empire that shaped the Western world. Welcome to WTF History, where we dig into the stories that make you question everything you thought you knew about the past. Today, we're stepping into the brutal reality of ancient Rome, a place where grandeur and cruelty were 2 sides of the same coin. This isn't about gladiators or emperors. It's about the women who dared to defy a system that owned them, body and soul, and the horrific punishments they faced for. Chasing freedom. This story's not easy, but it's one we need to hear because behind every Roman aqueduct, every marble column, lies a truth built on human suffering. So, let's walk these ancient. She's 19, born on a sprawling estate in Campania, sold to a grain merchant in Rome at 14. For 5 years, she's lived a life that makes freedom a dangerous dream. The executioner presses the iron too, and cold as stone. How does a civilization celebrated for its laws, its architecture, its literature, make branding a woman's face as routine as a morning market? To understand, we need to go back to the moment a human became property, when Claudia stood on a wooden platform in the Subura market, wrists bound, chin raised, while an auctioneer barked bids. Let's rewind 5 years. To that day when her fate was sealed. The Subura is alive with noise, vendors hawking, coins clinking, the hum of a city that never sleeps. Claudia stands under the auctioneer's gaze, her tunic yanked open to show her teeth, her muscles, her hips. 20 denarii, someone shouts. 30, another counters. Each bid is a lock snapping shut around her life. A merchant steps. It's a transaction, no different from buying wine or grain. For the enslaved, it's the moment their personhood vanishes. Under Roman law, a slave isn't a person, their property, a thing to be used. For women, this meant extra vulnerabilities. Beyond labor, they were expected to serve as vessels for whatever their owners demanded. Cooking, cleaning, or far worse. That first night in the merchant's household, Claudia plays the part. She pours wine, clears plates, keeps her head down. But she's watching, listening, learning. Other enslaved women warn her with glances, don't try it. An older woman serving beside her has scars on her forehead, half hidden by hair. Claudia sees the warning, but can't heed it. The life she's been sold into isn't a life at all. 3 days later, she makes her move. It's pre-dawn, the kitchen quiet except for the hearth's crackle. An unlatched gate beckons, and she slips through, heart pounding, into Rome's empty streets. For 20 minutes, she tastes something close to freedom. The city feels infinite, each corner a promise of escape. Maybe to the hills where fugitive communities are rumored to hide. Maybe to Ostia's port and a ship too. Anywhere else. But Rome wasn't built on hope. It was built on control. The Vigiles, Rome's urban patrol, know the escape routes. They wait at checkpoints, chains ready, clubs in hand. The sun hasn't risen when iron shackles snap around Claudia's wrists. The capture is quick, practiced, almost routine for the patrol. They don't need excessive violence. Not yet. The real punishment comes later, in daylight, with an audience. They drag her to a holding cell beneath the forum, a dank space crowded with other fugitives. Some bear fresh wounds, others the hollow stare of those who've learned hope is a trap. Roman law, the 12 tables, is clear. Escaping is theft, stealing yourself from your owner. For women, the charges pile up, a stolen cloak, a crust of bread for the journey. The magistrate reviews Claudia's case with the efficiency of a man checking inventory. First offense, female, young, valuable for labor. The sentence is standard, public branding. Immediate return to owner, loss of any savings she might have scraped together. But the cruelty's in the waiting. They keep her in the cell overnight, listening to the clank of iron heating. The executioner's practice swings, the debate over which branding template cuts deepest. Other women whisper their stories. One ran after her daughter was sold, another fled when her owner's son took. Notice, another just couldn't take another day. Each story's different, but the ending's the same. Tomorrow, Claudia's face will be a warning to every enslaved woman in Rome. Morning comes, and the forum is packed. It's the third hour, peak time for maximum impact. The platform sits near the rostra, where senators preach about Roman virtue. Today, virtue looks different. The executioner, called the Carnifex, sets up with a craftsman's precision. 3 brands glow in a brazier. FVG for fugitiva, FVR for thief, sometimes both if the magistrate's creative. Claudia kneels, hands bound, 2 assistants pinning her shoulders to keep the letters crisp. The crowd presses in. Merchants pause deals. Matrons adjust veils for a better look. Stray dogs circle the spectacle. For men, brands might go on hands or arms, hidden by tunics. For women, it's always the forehead. No veil can cover it. Every glance, every interaction will scream their defiance and its price. The executioner holds the iron high, letting Claudia see it, letting the crowd see it. The anticipation's deliberate. Some women faint before the metal touches them. Claudia doesn't. She stares. Ahead, jaw clenched, refusing tears. Then, without warning, the iron meets her skin. The sizzle cuts through the crowd's murmur like a blade. First the F, held for 3 seconds. The executioner checks his work, reheats, then the V. Claudia screams, the crowd count along, 1, 2, 3. Finally, the G, sealing her as fugitiva forever. Children are lifted higher to watch. Parents explaining this is what happens when property forgets its place. The wounds left open, no bandages, no salve, just raw, weeping flesh designed to scar deeply. Infections likely, sometimes fatal, but that's incidental. The mark's the point. Claudia stumbles off the platform, blood and lymph dripping, the crowd parting with disgust and curiosity. Her owner, Marcus Juventius, waits with a rope and a rod. His face calm, but calculating. A branded slave's worth less, but still valuable. His son watches from the crowd, already planning his evening. The herald steps forward, announcing her crime. Her punishment, her owner's name. Public shame piles onto physical agony. Back at the villa, Claudia resumes her duties, sorting grain, serving guests, her forehead a bleeding billboard of Rome's. Control. Other slaves avoid her eyes, not out of cruelty, but recognition. There, but for fortune go I. This isn't just Claudia's story. It's the story of thousands, tens of thousands, of women whose names history erased. Each branding was calculated, not just to punish one woman, but to warn dozens more. Claudia's face became Rome's advertisement. Resist, and this is your fate. Yet, here's what Rome didn't expect. That night, two other women in Juventius's household start whispering, planning, inspired not by Claudia's punishment, but by her courage. They've seen the price of failure, and they choose to risk it anyway. Because sometimes the unbearable weight of slavery makes even death seem like a chance worth taking. Let's keep walking with Claudia, because her story doesn't end here, and Rome's machine is just warming up. Claudia is back in the villa, her forehead still raw with the brand FEG, sorting grain under Marcus Juventius's watchful eyes. The pain's constant, a throbbing reminder of her failed escape. But it's the stares that cut deeper. Free citizens in the market, pitying or scornful, and other slaves, avoiding her gaze out of fear. They see themselves in her scars, know anyone could be next. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're peeling back the layers of ancient Rome's brutality. Last time, we followed Claudia through the Forum, where a searing iron marked her as fugitiva. But branding was just the first step in Rome's punishment machine. For women like Claudia, who refused to let hope die, the punishments only got worse. Today, we're stepping into gate punishment, where Rome turned human beings into living warnings, and Claudia's defiance pushes her deeper into the system's grip. It's been 6 months since her branding, and Claudia is still here, still strong. But the villa feels like a cage now, the walls pressing in. Every day is the same, grinding grain, serving wine, cleaning floors, while Marcus's son lingers too long in doorways, his gaze a growing threat. Claudia's heard rumors of a place beyond Rome's reach, maybe in the hills, maybe across the sea. Freedom's a whisper, but it's loud enough to drown out fear. The older women warn her again, don't do it. They point to their own scars, their own stories of failure. But Claudia has been hoarding bread, scraps, noting the Vigila's patrol patterns, waiting for a chance. During a festival night, when a household's drunk on wine and distracted, she slips out again, moving through Rome's dark streets, her heart hammering with every step. For a few hours, she's free, dodging shadows, following the Via Appia toward distance and hope. But Rome's machine is relentless. The Vigiles, trained to Marcus's villa, where a different punishment waits. Marcus isn't interested in another branding. Her forehead already carries the message. Instead, he chooses something more visible, more prolonged. The next morning, Claudia is led to the villa's entrance, where iron brackets are bolted into the stone, rusted from years of use. Her arms are spread wide, wrists locked in, feet barely touching the ground. This isn't crucifixion. That's too quick. This is gate punishment, a Roman specialty that turns a person into a breathing warning, part of the villa's facade for every visitor, merchant, or slave to see. The pain hits immediately, muscles straining, joints screaming, but the real cruelty is the duration. Claudia will hang here for days, maybe weeks, a living ornament meant to deter. The brackets are engineered with chilling precision, set at a height that prevents rest but avoids strangulation. Her toes scrape the stone, seeking relief that never comes. Other slaves pass her, dozens of times a day, carrying water, delivering messages, tending gardens. Each time, they face a choice: meet her eyes and acknowledge her suffering, or look away and pretend it's not there. Future. Both choices hurt. Guests step over her, some pausing to praise Marcus's discipline, others ignoring her entirely. Summer sun blisters her skin. Winter rains soak her threadbare tunic, chilling her to the bone. Claudia endures a week of February storms, hypothermia creeping in as visitors hurry past to warm interiors. She survives, but not all do. Some bodies stay displayed until decomposition forces removal. This isn't just about Claudia. It's about everyone who sees her. The villa's slaves, men, women, children, are forced to witness, to walk past, to live with the knowledge. Flogged men on Wednesdays, varied torments to keep the message fresh. Visitors call it strong household management, admiring the living ornaments. It's a twisted theater where the audience is complicit and the actors never chose the role. Gate punishment is psychological warfare as much as physical. Claudia's friends among the staff pretend not to know her. The cook she once laughed with. Proof Rome normalized horror until it became background noise. Archaeology backs this up. Villa excavations reveal iron brackets, chain marks on stone, skeletons in unnatural positions. Torture was built into the architecture, as standard as mosaics. Claudia endures 10 days, her body weakening, her mind fraying, but still clinging to defiance. When they release her, survival now, her branded forehead a constant weight as she moves through Marcus Juventius's villa, serving wine to guests who barely see her. The gate punishment left her body aching, her spirit bruised, but not broken. She's still watching for a chance to run, still dreaming of a life beyond Rome's chains. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're unraveling the brutal machinery of ancient Rome's slave system. Last time, we saw Claudia endure gate punishment, her body turned into a living warning at the villa's entrance. But for women who kept defying, Rome had a punishment that turned pain into a calculated science, flogging. Today, we're stepping into the courtyard where Claudia faces the flagellum, a whip designed to tear flesh and crush hope, and where Rome's cruelty reveals its ruthless precision. It's a year since the gate, and Claudia is 20 now, her body tougher, but her heart heavier. The villa's walls feel tighter, Marcus's son bolder, his hands lingering where they shouldn't. She's heard whispers of a fugitive camp in the hills, a place where slaves might live free. During a chaotic banquet, she makes her move again, slipping out under cover of night, moving along back roads, her heart alive with stolen freedom. For 2 days, she's free, hiding in olive groves, stealing bread from unguarded ovens, dreaming of Ostia's port. But her brand betrays her. A merchant spots the FVG on her forehead and alerts the vigiles. They catch her before dawn, chains snapping shut, and drag her back to Marcus's villa. He's done with warnings. This time, it's the courtyard. The courtyard's a dusty square behind the villa, built for punishment. Slaves, men, women, children are gathered, forced to watch, their eyes wide with fear. Claudia's arms are bound to a beam overhead, her toes barely touching the ground, body stretched to maximize pain. The executioner, an exactor, steps forward, holding a flagellum, not a simple whip, but a machine of destruction. Oxhide strips, 3 to 7, are studded with metal weights, bone fragments, sometimes glass shards. Rome didn't invent flogging. They perfected it, turning pain into engineering. The handles wrapped for grip, the strips cut for velocity, the weights placed to tear, not just bruise. Bronze balls some spiked, ripped flesh, bone shards shred muscle. Romans tested these on condemned prisoners, noting bleeding rates, consciousness duration, adjusting for maximum effect without quick death. The flogging starts. At noon, the courtyard bright, the audience large. The exactor knows anatomy, kidneys for deep agony, ribs for labored breathing, spine for nerve damage, avoiding arteries to prolong suffering. The first strike splits Claudia's skin, a red line across her back. She screams, but the blows keep coming 10, 20, 30. For slaves, especially women, there's no set number. Roman law limits. Lashes for citizens. Measures them for free non-citizens, but for slaves? The law is silent, letting owners decide. For Claudia, it's until the exactor tires or she passes out. Today it's both. Her voice breaks, screams fading to gasps, then silence. But the flagellum's design ensures even unconscious bodies react. Spasms, jerks, proof of continued pain. The crowd watches, eyes forward, because looking away risks joining her. Children cling to their mothers, learning what happens to runners. When it's over, there's no mercy, no bandages, just salt rubbed into wounds to slow healing and amplify agony. Claudia is cut down, barely conscious, and sent to work the next day, her back a map of scars, her tunic sticking to raw flesh as she serves Marcus's guests. This isn't just her pain, it's collective trauma. Every slave in that courtyard is forced to witness, to internalize the cost of defiance. Some women survive, their backs turning leather-like from scar tissue. Frustrating owners who seek new cruelties to compensate. Flogging's a business, too. Estate records list flagellum costs beside olive oil, as if tearing flesh is just another expense. Diaries mention whipping slaves between social engagements, casual as a lunch note. This normalization shows Rome's values. Violence wasn't just punishment, it was routine. Claudia survives, her body and mind scarred, but her dream of freedom persists. She knows staying means Marcus's son, a life of violation. So she plans again, because the alternative is worse than any whip. That's where we're going next, to the arena, where Rome turned punishment into spectacle, and Claudia's defiance faces its deadliest test yet. Claudia's back is a patchwork of scars now, each one a story of survival. Her branded forehead a constant reminder of Rome's grip. She's back in the villa, serving wine to guests who don't see her, their eyes skimming her FVG and bloodied tunic. But Claudia's not broken. The flogging didn't kill her hope, it sharpened it. She's heard of a ship at Ostia, a chance to slip beyond Rome's reach. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're following the women who defied ancient Rome's slave system. Last time, Claudia endured the flagellum, a whip that turned pain into science. But for those who kept running, Rome had a punishment that blended cruelty with theater, the arena. Today, we're stepping onto the Colosseum's sand, where Claudia becomes a prop in Rome's bloodiest show, and survival means facing death as entertainment. A year after her flogging, Claudia is 21, her body tougher, but her spirit restless. She runs again, her third attempt, moving at night, avoiding roads, following whispers of a fugitive network in the hills. 4 or 5 days, she's free, hiding in caves, stealing fruit, her heart alive with possibility. But her brand betrays her. A farmer spots the FVG and turns her in for a reward. The Vigiles drag her back, and Marcus, furious at the inconvenience, decides the arena's next. A branded, flogged slave is worth less, but still useful for spectacle. They don't take her to the courtyard or gate. She's led to a cell beneath the Colosseum, the air thick with fear and animal musk, the roars of the crowd above mingling with beastly snarls below. The Colosseum's a theater of death, its underground maze a marvel of engineering. Elevators lift victims into sunlight. Hidden platforms create dramatic entrances, sets turn sand into mythic landscapes. Claudia is not facing a quick execution like a common criminal. She's cast in a mythological reenactment, maybe as Pasiphae, devoured by a bull, or Andromeda, chained for a lion disguised as a sea monster. She's dressed as Andromeda, her costume fitted with care, as if it's theater. She's chained to a rocky outcropping, the bonds real, unbreakable. The crowd falls silent as the beast gate opens, and a starved lion steps out. These animals are trained, conditioned to see humans as food, sometimes starved or drugged for aggression. Each lion costs a fortune, so it needs multiple kills to justify the expense. The announcer weaves the myth, Andromeda's rebellion, her divine punishment, while drums and flutes build tension. Claudia struggles against the chains, realizing too late theirs. No Perseus coming. The lion's claws tear her side, and the crowd roars, not for mercy, but spectacle. She survives this first attack, lucky or unlucky, and is dragged back to a cell for crude stitching, only to face another performance. The Romans love repeat performers, crowd favorites who survive to build twisted fame. The arena's about storytelling, turning escape attempts into cosmic crimes, where defiance is rebellion against divine order. Children watch, learning mythology through real death. Elite families bring kids to permanent seats, cheering justice as entertainment. The infrastructure is staggering. Costume departments prepare victims, medical staff keep them conscious for the show, stage managers coordinate beast handlers and musicians. It's an industry, and Claudia's a cog. But even here, there's resilience. Some women stare down beasts, refusing to beg. Claudia survives her first appearance, her wounds patched just enough for another show. Back in the cells, she hears the crowd's roars, other screams, the grind of elevators. She's not done, but neither is Rome. The arena was spectacle, but for those who survived or kept running, a worse fate waited in darkness. That's where we're headed next, to the mines where Rome didn't just kill, it erased. Claudia's alive, but only just. Her body carries scars from branding, flogging, and now the arena, where a lion's claws left gashes stitched with rough thread. She's back in Marcus's villa, under his son's predatory gaze, every task a reminder of her chains. The arena didn't break her, but it's changed her, fueling a desperate need to run before the next performance. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're tracing the defiance of enslaved women in ancient Rome. Last time, Claudia survived the Colosseum, a prop in a deadly myth. But for those who wouldn't stop running, Rome had a punishment worse than death: the mines. Today, we're descending into Sardinius, darkness, where Claudia faces damnatio in metallum, condemnation to the metal works, a place designed to erase human lives while extracting their final value. Months after the arena, Claudia's body is healing, but her spirit's restless. Staying means Marcus's son, a life of violation, another trip to the arena. So she runs again, her fourth attempt, chasing rumors of a ship at Brundisium. For 3 weeks, she's free, hiding in forests, begging scraps, moving under moonlight. But a tavern keeper spots her brand and turns her in for a reward. The Vigiles drag her back, and Marcus, tired of her defiance, sentences her to the mines. No more spectacles, just erasure. The journey to Sardinia is a punishment itself, a coffle of chained slaves marching hundreds of miles, no privacy, no mercy. Many die on the road, their bodies cut loose. Claudia survives, but her rivals no relief. The mine entrance is a slit in the earth, barely wide enough for a body. Inside, daylight vanishes. Roman mines aren't modern, their wounds following or veins through tight shafts and flooding tunnels. Claudia is chained to a work gang, 6 women moving as one, crawling through darkness. Hauling lead or life underground defies description. No day or night, just torchlit twilight. Sleeps in shifts, still chained. Food's grain porridge lowered in buckets. Water rationed to prevent. Escape through drowning. The air's toxic. Lead poisons blood. Copper ruins lungs. Gold's mercury drives madness. Claudia's gang works in lead. Her breath heavy. Teeth loosening. Hands trembling. When one woman collapses, the others drag her until guards cut the body free. The chain reforms, deeper they go. Women face unique horrors here. Pregnancy doesn't stop work. Claudia, pregnant for Marcus's son, gives birth in chains, in darkness, surrounded by or dust. Fellow prisoners offer crude midwifery, if any. Her daughter's first breaths are toxic, her first sight. Torchlight. Claudia straps her to her back and keeps working, knowing the child won't last. Most don't. Mine records track livestock losses more carefully than humans. The baby dies within months. Cut loose and left in the dirt. Claudia's gang loses 3 more to a cave-in. Their bodies unrecovered. New shafts are cheaper than rescue. Archaeological digs find these graves, skeletons chained, still laboring, waiting for help that never came. The overseers say the mine always wins. Strong women like Claudia last 2 years, the weak months. Children born here rarely see a first. Birthday. Claudia survives, but it's a curse. Sunlight blindness, skeletal frame, mind fraying from poison and isolation. She's a walking corpse, but still a warning. Rome didn't send women to mines to reform them. Mines were deletion, extracting final value from problematic property. Every cart was human life turned to profit. Claudia's fading, but her defiance lingers in whispers of other women planning escapes. That's where we're going next. To the children of these women, like Claudia's son, born in a slavery shadow, marked by their mother's rebellion. Claudia's daughter didn't survive the Sardinian mines, her tiny body lost to the darkness, cut from Claudia's back by guards who didn't care. Claudia is still hauling, or her body breaking, but her mind clings to freedom's faint hope, even as the mines try to erase her. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're telling the stories of women who fought Rome's slave system. Last time, we descended into the mines, where Claudia faced a slow death in darkness. But Rome's cruelty didn't stop with her. It reached her children, born into slavery, marked by her defiance. Today, we're following Claudia's son, Lucius, growing up with her brand as his inheritance, and seeing how Rome ensured its system change generations. Before the mines, Claudia had a son, Lucius, born when she was 16, fathered by Marcus's son in violence. He's 6 now, in Marcus's villa while Claudia wastes away in Sardinia. Lucius doesn't know her fate, but he remembers her brand, tracing the FVG on her forehead as a toddler, confused why other children shunned him. Roman law is brutal. Partus sequitur ventrem. Offspring follows the belly. A slave mother means a slave child, even if the father's free. Lucius is property, born to serve. His mother's scars a constant reminder of his place. Free children avoid him, taught to shun runners, offspring. Even among slaves, he's low, tainted by Claudius. Rebellion. At 7, Lucius is sold to another household, a tactic to break bonds that might spark joint escapes. The sale is quick, no goodbyes, just a new owner inspecting him like livestock. In this new villa, he learns his mother's story through taunts. Your mother was a runner, branded, probably dead. His identity comes through cruelty, not love. Education for slave children like Lucius means learning subservience, boys for labor, girls for domestic tasks, and worse. By 12, he's hauling water, cleaning stables, watching his half-brother, the master's son, learn rhetoric while he learns to bow. Puberty brings new fears. Girls his age disappear into private rooms, returning broken, and Lucius sees his mother's fate in them. The psychological toll is heavy. Lucius carries invisible scars, hypervigilance, fear of punishment, knowing his mother's brand marks him too. Some children of branded women become model slaves, desperate to escape their mothers. Shame, obeying with frantic precision. Others, like Lucius, inherit rebellion. At 14, he plans his own escape, hoarding bread, memorizing patrols, driven by Claudia's spark. But Rome's ready. His new household watches him closely, cuts his rations, tracks his moves, delivers preemptive beatings to crush defiance. The market prices children of fugitives lower, calling them damaged goods. With rebellious blood, some break free, saving peculium over decades to buy freedom, but it's a trap. Freed slaves, liberty carries stigma, barred from guilds or status. Lucius, if he escapes, will face a life in hiding, his mother's brand following him. Yet Claudia kept running, knowing her children would inherit this curse, because staying meant watching them suffer her horrors. Lucius carries her courage, planning his escape despite the odds. That's where we're headed next, to the daily horrors that drove Claudia and others to risk everything, where death seemed better than. Life under Rome's yoke. Claudia's gone, her body broken by the Sardinian mines, her name lost except in the stories we weave. Her son, Lucius, is 15, enslaved in a new household, carrying her brand. In every suspicious glance from overseers, he's planning to run, driven by the same desperation that fueled Claudia. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're uncovering the raw truth of Rome's slave system. Last time, we saw how Claudia's children, like Lucius, were born in a slavery shadow, marked by her defiance. Today, we're diving into why women like Claudia kept running, despite knowing the punishments, branding, flogging, the arena, the mines. It's about the daily horrors that made escape worth risking everything, where life was torture and death a possible mercy. Let's go back to Claudia's early days in Marcus's villa, at 14, fresh from a Campanian estate. She's thrown into a world where she's property, not a person. Roman law gave owners absolute power, dominium vitae nescisque, life and death. Claudia's days start at dawn, grinding grain, cleaning floors, serving meals. But nights are worse. Marcus's son, 16, sees her as his to use. Consent's not a concept for slaves. Refusal means punishment, whips, chains, or worse. Submission means survival at a cost. Claudia learns this fast, her body bruised when she hesitates. Sexual violence wasn't an exception, it was the system. Enslaved women were valued for labor and reproduction, creating more slaves for free. Inventories list women by age, beauty, childbearing. Capacity, young virgins fetch high prices, their body's assets. Medical texts describe injuries with detachment, torn tissue from assaults, infections from repeated abuse, pregnancy complications in. Girls too young. Physicians heal just enough to keep property functional, ignoring causes. Rape required citizenship, so enslaved women couldn't be raped legally. They were objects open for use by owners, friends, or as prostitutes. Claudia sees this cycle everywhere. An older branded woman scarred from resisting. Another pregnant by the master, sent to a breeding estate, cycled through. Pregnancies until her body fails. Children from these assaults are property, increasing owner's wealth. Claudia watches a girl her age return broken from a private room, her eyes empty. When Claudia's daughter, had she lived, reached puberty, she'd face the same. This knowledge is a daily weight, a ticking clock. Some women kill their daughters as mercy, sparing them violation. Others, like Claudia, run, hoping to save their children. But it's not just sexual violence. Rome allowed any cruelty, as long as property wasn't wasted. Claudia's seen women beaten for spilling wine, starved for slow work, chained for defiance. There's no recourse. Slaves can't testify against owners, and the law protects property rights, not lives. When Marcus dies, Claudia's fate depends on the new owner, kinder or worse. This uncertainty, these daily horrors, push her to run, stay and face degradation, watch her children suffer, or risk everything for freedom's chance. Claudia's first escape came when Marcus's son cornered her, his hands too familiar. She stole a knife, hid bread, memorized directions to a rumored fugitive camp. Even after branding, flogging, and the arena, she kept running because staying was unendurable. Roman writers like Seneca noted this, mentioning women choosing suicide over submission, estates needing surveillance to prevent self-harm, but they never challenged the system. Claudia's defiance reveals Rome's darkest truth. When death seems better than life, existence is torture. That's where we're going next, to the philosophers like Seneca, who saw this evil but lived comfortably within it, their words clashing with the branded women serving them. Lucius, Claudia's son, is 18 now, scarred from his own failed escape, his mother's brand a memory that drives him to keep fighting. He's heard she died in the mines, though no one's sure. Her absence is a wound, but also fuel. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're exposing ancient Rome's slave system. Last time, we dove into the horrors that drove Claudia to run, abuse, violation, a life where death seemed merciful. But what about the Romans who saw this cruelty, who wrote about human dignity while owning humans? Today, we're looking at philosophers like Seneca, whose beautiful words about equality clashed with their complicity in Rome's brutality, revealing a moral blindness that's as infuriating as it is telling. Picture Seneca, Rome's Stoic philosopher, in his study in 50 CE, years after Claudia's time, but the system she suffered thrives. He's writing about virtue, how all humans share a divine spark, how fortune could reverse any man's fate. His letters urge kindness to slaves, reminding Romans they could be in chains. But Seneca owns hundreds of slaves, his villas staffed by branded women, their foreheads marked FVG, cooking his meals, organizing his scrolls, serving at symposiums where he debates ethics. The forum's branding screams drift through his window, a grim backdrop to his musings. He's not alone. Cicero writes about natural law while buying slaves. Marcus Aurelius ponders brotherhood between slave purchases. Pliny the Younger boasts humane treatment, then mentions beating disobedient slaves. Seneca's case stings most. His Stoicism says external circumstances don't affect happiness, convenient when you own others. He advises selecting slaves carefully, treating them fairly within limits, avoiding unnecessary cruelty. Manumission? Rare. Questioning slavery? Never. His reforms stay within the system, making it bearable, not dismantling it. His household records show fugitive women, like Claudia, branded and serving. He dines with friends, calling anger unnatural, while his slaves endure terror. Other writers show the same blindness. Petronius mocks branding for trivial offenses. Juvenal laughs at women flogging servants for bad hair. Martial writes epigrams about scarred slaves. Recognitions everywhere, actions nowhere. Roman law nods to slaves' humanity, limited cruelty protections, peculium rights, manumission options, but these reinforce ownership. Seneca's villa has 3 branded women. One cooks, one maintains his library, one serves at philosophical dinners. Their scars contrast his words about equality. But he never frees them. When Nero orders his suicide, Seneca faces death with stoic calm, his final hours legendary. His slaves' fates? Unmentioned, irrelevant. His writings inspire centuries. His complicity excused. Lucius, in his own time, hears of these philosophers, wondering if they'd see him as human or just property. He's planning another escape, knowing the stakes, branding, flogging, arena mines. But staying means Claudia's life, and he can't stomach it. That's where we're headed next, to Rome's whole machine, how laws, punishments, and culture built a system of control. That lasted centuries. Lucius is 20, his body scarred from his failed escape, his mother's brand of fire in his chest. He's still enslaved, working in a new villa, but his mind's on the hills, where fugitive camps whisper of freedom. The system that crushed Claudia tightens around him, but he's not giving up. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're peeling back the final layers of Rome's slave system. Last time, we saw how philosophers like Seneca preached equality while owning branded women, their hypocrisy laid bare. Today, we're stepping back to see the whole machine, how Rome's laws, punishments, and culture wove a system of control so perfect it lasted centuries. This is the blueprint of terror, and it's as calculated as it is horrifying. Rome didn't stumble into brutality, it built it, refining it over generations. Claudia's first escape triggered branding, a mark that made her a target anywhere in the empire. The vigiles patrolled with precision, blocking escape routes to Ostia or the Via Appia. Holding cells sorted fugitives, magistrates followed sentencing guidelines. Executioners trained in branding and flogging. Tools were spécialistes de portable branding iron, arena elevator, mine champ. Punishments escalated deliberately. Branding for the first attempt, flogging or gate chaining for the second, arena or mines for the third. Each balanced terror with profit. Young women like Claudia entertained in the Colosseum. Older ones worked mines until they broke. The system was an economy. Traders profited from sales. Owners from labor, punishment industries from failure. Culture reinforced this. Plautus's comedies mocked chained slaves. Artists painted mythic punishments on villa walls. Children learned by watching executions. Horror became normal, violence routine. Laws gave structure. The 12 tables called slaves' property, escape theft. Later laws debated edge cases. Could branded slaves testify about their punishment? Avoiding moral questions. Documentation was meticulous. Branded slaves and city records. Mine transfers like cargo, arena deaths tallied. Psychological warfare was key. Slaves watched punishments, fracturing solidarity. Some administered floggings, turning victims into enforcers. Families were split. Lucius sold from Claudia to prevent rebellion. Even successful escapes were traps. Beyond Rome lay barbarian lands, and freed slaves faced stigma, barred from guilds or status. Archaeology confirms this. Villas show punishment brackets, mines reveal chained skeletons, arenas hold human remains. These are Claudia, Lucius, countless others, their defiance etched into bone. Lucius, planning his escape, knows this system. He's seen its whips, heard its chains, but he runs anyway because Claudia did, because staying means surrender. That's where we're going next, back to Claudia's final moments and the legacy of women who refuse to accept the unacceptable, a truth that echoes through time. We're back in the Roman Forum, where Claudia's story began, kneeling on that stone platform, the iron searing FVG into her forehead. Blood and tears mix, the crowd scatters, and Rome's machine grinds on. Merchants haggle, carts rumble, the empire thrives. But Claudia's story, and those of countless women like her, doesn't end there. Welcome back to WTF History, where we've walked through ancient Rome's slave system, from branding to the mines, seeing how it crushed defiance while profiting from pain. Today, we're closing with Claudia's legacy, the women who kept running, and the truth their courage reveals about Rome and us. This is the end, but it's also a beginning, because remembering these women changes how we see history. Claudia was 19 when we met her, sold to Marcus Juventius, a grain merchant whose son claimed her body as his right. Her first escape lasted 3 days, a sprint toward Brundisium, dreaming of a ship to freedom. The Vigiles caught her, and the brand marked her fugitiva. She ran again, endured gate punishment, then flogging, her body a canvas of Rome's cruelty. Her third escape led to the arena, surviving a lion's claws, only to be sent to Sardinia's mines. There, chained in darkness, she birthed a daughter who died, her own body breaking under or and. Despair, Claudia died there, her bones likely still chained in a collapsed tunnel, found centuries later by archaeologists. She wasn't alone. Thousands of women faced this machine, each brand, flogging, arena death, a person choosing possible freedom over certain suffering. Their names are lost, but their stories live in the evidence. Skeletons with FVG in bone, mined graves with chained families, arena remains reduced to ash. These are people, Claudia's, who built Rome's aqueducts, villas, Colosseum, their labor and pain the empire's foundation. Her son, Lucius, grew up with her. Brand, sold at 7, marked as rebellious stock. He ran, faced whips, and maybe found freedom, maybe died in chains, but carried her spark. Why does this matter? Rome's legacy isn't just marble. It's a system of control echoing through history. Philosophers owned these women, laws codified their suffering, entertainments made death sport. Every Roman glory rests on their bones. Claudia's FVG meant fugitiva, but also a woman who refused the unacceptable. Her choice honors her more than any monument. Today's archaeology, skeletons, chains, ash, proves these were people, not property. Their defiance challenges us. Where does power erase humanity now? Where do we look away? This series has been heavy, but necessary. Remembering Claudia and countless others gives them the humanity. Rome denied. It shows the cost of civilization, the lives behind the marble. So, as we leave Rome's streets, let's carry their stories. They ran, fought, refused to be property. Thank you for joining WTF History. If Claudia's story hit you, drop a comment. What shocked you most? What's a history you want us to uncover? Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to keep questioning the past with us. Until next time, keep remembering, keep fighting for the humanity in us all.